You know about the retrograde ejaculation thing, right?
No.
Well, this is crazy. So and I have a story that you have to be careful with this.
스탠포드 뇌과학 교수 앤드류 후버만이 전반적으로 삶의 질을 크게 개선하고 성관계 시 사정을 지연하는 방법에 대한 다양한 팁을 이야기합니다. 각 팁을 자세히 살펴보고 이러한 습관들이 어떻게 더 나은 삶을 사는 데 도움이 될 수 있을지에 대해 알아보겠습니다.
Okay, foundational things. Get sunlight in your eyes in the morning, especially on cloudy days, as many days of your life as you can, and make it a pleasurable thing.
Yeah.
Right? Just get up and get outside, get out on a porch, get outside, take sunglasses, just do it, right? Most days, if not every day. Try and get your sleep right. Now, younger people with different schedules, like don't give up a social life, but try and get a good amount of sleep. 3 days a week of weight training. We're talking about 10 minutes of warm up and 50 to 60 minutes of working out. And train your legs, guys. Come on. Come on. 3 days a week of some cardiovascular work. People might say, well, listen, I'm in my 20s or 30s. I'm not worried about it. It's not about being worried about a heart attack. It's about maintaining blood flow to everything.
What is some cardiovascular?
Okay, so I think 1 day a week, you take a long, slow jog or pedal on the bike or treadmill or swim, whatever your favorite thing is. If you want to make it social and you're out with somebody, you could literally get one, like wear a weight vest for a hike if you want to make it harder. But you could skip rope, whatever. The other cardio day, sprint. It's real easy. Find a patch of land, sprint for 30 seconds to 45 seconds, then walk back for a minute to 90 seconds, sprint again, do that 5 to 10 times. By the end, you will have increased your speed, your VO2 max, your output. And then 1 day a week, just take off as a recovery day. And listen, there are reasons to do it for aesthetic reasons. There are reasons to do it for heart health reasons. This is key. Have some tool to be able to control your stress. Some people are super mellow, but some non-pharmaceutical tool. The double inhale through the nose, the physiological size. So big, deep inhale through the nose, then sneak in a little bit more air, then dump all your air with your mouth. That's the fastest way to calm down. If you're scared of public speaking, if you're tense about some interaction.
첫 번째로 후버만은 건강한 라이프스타일의 중요성을 강조합니다. 아침에 일어나 일정량의 햇빛을 쬐고 수면을 일정하게 유지하고 웨이트 트레이닝과 유산소 운동을 하고 심호흡을 통해 스트레스를 조절하는 연습 등 다양한 활동들이 포함됩니다. 이러한 기본 습관은 기분, 에너지 레벨, 회복력에 직접적인 영향을 미치기 때문에 정신적, 육체적 웰빙에 매우 중요합니다. 또한 정신적인 강인함과 회복력을 키우는 데 있어 의도적인 추위 노출의 역할에 대해서도 언급합니다. 찬물 샤워나 얼음 목욕은 불편함을 견딜 수 있도록 몸과 마음을 단련하는 데 큰 도움이 되며 이는 삶의 다양한 도전에 직면하는 데 필수적입니다. 그리고 찬물 샤워는 도파민을 지속적으로 증가하도록 유도하기 때문에 샤워 후 몇 시간 동안 에너지 레벨을 증폭시킬 수 있습니다.
And listen, if I can't bring you on board with that way, listen, I'll just be very direct. You want to delay orgasm. It works for that too, because remember, orgasm is an increase in the what we call the sympathetic tone of the nervous system. It's actually kind of like the stress response, and then comes the relaxation afterwards. So it's sort of like if you need like an incentive for real. Well, and in the tantric community, they talk about using this type of breathing for couples to be able to have sex for long periods of time, to be able to explore the different forms of sensual connection. So there you go. You know about the retrograde ejaculation thing, right?
No.
Well, this is crazy. So and I have a story that you have to be careful with this, not to get too wild with this. So there is this thing about, there's a lot on the internet about semen retention and chi, right?
Yeah.
After orgasm, here we're talking about males and females, but in males, after ejaculation, there's an increase in the hormone prolactin, which makes you very mellow. And that sets the refractory period. And during that time, you're not getting another erection, you're not having sex again. Mm-hmm. This is why drugs that increase dopamine sometimes are kind of pro-sexual drugs. But if people take too much of them, then they're just like all gas pedal, but they're not relaxed enough to actually get an erection, right? This is the cocaine thing, right? So, sex is a dance between arousal and relaxation.
Right.
Tantra understands that, and they try and bring people into kind of a mellow plane where they are controlling all that rise and fall of arousal over and over again. That's the idea. So there is this notion of certain Asian cultures have talked about retaining chi by, instead of allowing semen to leave the body during orgasm, there's a practice of pulling it back in by inhaling and clamping essentially the muscles around the prostate.
후버만 박사는 기를 유지하는 개념과 역행사정의 관행에 대해 설명합니다. 이 방법이 어쩌면 이상하게 생각될 수 있지만 여러 문화권에서 성적인 경험과 전반적인 웰빙을 향상시키기 위해 다양한 방법을 모색해왔다는 점, 그리고 에너지 상승 효과가 실제로 있었다는 사례들에 대해 주목할 가치가 있습니다.
So I have a friend who got really into experimenting with this. His wife happened to be in the kind of qigong community, was really into qigong, and he did this, but he developed terrible prostatitis. So you have to be really careful. But he was walking around feeling like he had twice as much energy as he ever did before.
So right before he's about to bust, he sucks it back in.
Yeah, and again, you can mess yourself up with this.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm not promoting this, but there is this notion of retrograde ejaculation.
When you retrograde, do you ever actually ejaculate?
They do. They recommend they do it like once a week or something like that. We've got sunlight, exercise, stress control through physiological, the double inhale, long exhale through the mouth. Try and be a nose breather and not a mouth breather. Listen, I also think it's a really good idea, in addition to seeking good social connection, etc. I think it's good to have some practice that makes you more resilient. And I'm a big fan of cold showers and ice baths and cold. They have great banyas here in New York. Yeah. And, put yourself into uncomfortable cold 3 or 5 days a week. It's not about the metabolism increase as much as is the mental training of doing something that sucks. I mean, David Goggins has this right. And actually, this brings us back to the importance of story. I mean, David is a guy who just keeps pushing himself to do the hard thing. But I think the reason he's so effective as a communicator is because we understand that he had to go through a journey that was incredible, from being this 300 plus pound guy to that, and he's still doing it. So we're like in his story, he's still going. And so I think all of us would do well to push ourselves to be uncomfortable.
데이비드 고긴스의 사례에서 볼 수 있듯이 불편함을 받아들이고 도전을 극복하기 위해 스스로를 밀어붙이는 것은 엄청난 성장으로 이어질 수 있습니다. 이러한 습관과 태도를 일상생활에 적용하면 인간으로서의 내면과 외면이 더욱 강인해질 수 있는 지름길이 됩니다.
And then with the cold, what's beautiful is after you get out of the cold, and I like to end on warm shower, you do a minute or 3 minutes of a cold or get in the ice bath or whatever it is, you get this huge long-lasting surge in dopamine that sets your mood and your positivity for hours and hours. This has been shown by data. And so I think it's a wonderful tool, and these are basically zero-cost tools. They take time. I wish I developed these tools in my 20s. Yeah. I built them gradually. I've been working out a long time and little things here and there, but if you start them early, they stay with you. And I always think the best way to outperform everybody in your business, or at least keep up in very competitive business, and Joe Rogan is a beautiful example of this, is to take excellent care of your health. People who are really good at their craft invest in taking really good care of themselves. And then, of course, that includes avoid toxic relationships. Just avoid them. They ruin people's lives. They'll ruin your life. Like, just do your best to be in healthy relationships, and then everything's good. And I don't say that lightly. Like, that's a big one. I've seen so many people who were doing great, but because they got caught up in some drama, they just nosedive the whole thing. So those will be the recommendations. There are a bunch of others, and I'll keep spouting them out on the internet.
관계를 더 오래 지속하고 삶을 개선하기 위한 팁들을 일상에 적용함으로써 성적인 경험을 향상시킬 뿐만 아니라 전반적인 웰빙과 성공하는 삶의 기반을 다질 수 있습니다. 신체적, 정신적, 정서적으로 자신을 잘 돌보는 것이 최고의 삶을 살기 위한 핵심임을 기억하시기 바랍니다. 지금까지 초월의 숲이었습니다.